finding hearsay?
I'll wait for the decision of the court on the ruling of the court with regard to that. The reason why I'm objecting, Your Lordship, is that the way the state is putting it, the witness knows. The witness testified that he knows what is the narrative. Now, the state says, what is the narrative?
Yeah, he didn't say I was told that there is a narrative. He's saying I know the narrative. If the answer to that question reveals that this is hearsay, then we'll deal with it.
Thank you, Your Lordship.
This is Mr. Madlala. Which narrative are you referring to?
Mnumzane Madlala, njengoba unikeza ufakazi kuzulu uthi wena uma kukhulunywa kakhulukazi ngale statement esinikezwe nguye umlungisi uhlophe asinikezele ukutheleza ukuthi uyazi ukuthi senziwa ngaphasi kwasiphi isimo futhi nenhloso zokuthi kwenziwe le statement beqhutshwa ini kahle kahle. So manje uyaqala ukuthi uchaze ukuthi ke mawuthi ke uyazi ukuthi ngiziphi inhloso beziphusha noma narrative ngikuphi lokho.
Okokuqala nje if yena uMr Hlophe nje wayibhala statement lesi, why asibhale if usine information ebalekile, why asibhale ngo2019 lento yenza ngo2014 yonke leminyaka bekathuleleni nayo?
Okay, to start with, my lord, if Mr Hlophe, if when writing this statement contained important information, why did he give that statement on the year 2019 instead of 2014?
Yes.
Yes.
Kubeka?
Okunye le statement ezenziwe, then the reason bengithi why zenziwe ubuthelezi because ziningi izinto azenzile ubuthelezi ezingekho right.
Okay. These other statements, the reason why I'm saying that they were made by Buthelezi is because this Buthelezi made a lot of things which were not right.
Yes.
Yes.
Bese kuzohlangana ne protection program, lento kufakwa kwi protection program. Nayo leyo nto kwakuyi idea yakhe futhi ubuthelezi.
And also the third thing, my lord, is this protection program that I'm under. She's the one who came with that idea of a protection program.
Yes.
Ekungifakeni kwakhe kule protection program.
My lord, with due respect, I'm not sure whether this witness is now leading new evidence or it's still part of the re-examination. What is happening right now?
Mr. Balo?
As a court, please, if you can just briefly, Mr. Madlala, just briefly comment on this narrative. There is some total of why you say a certain narrative was being served?
Kancane nje ungaphawula ukuthi njengoba ukhuluma nge-narrative ukuthi inhloso ezithile ngikho lokho kusho ukuthi ngale gama lele narrative lokhu kuqhaza.
Yeah, yena inhloso yakhe kwakuwukuthi mengisa protection program mhlambe ngizokhuluma okuhlukile ngaloko bengikukhuluma.
I also object, my lord. The question under the re-exam that has been put by the state is the condition under which this statement was made. This statement and now there's new evidence that is coming, my lord.
Yes, Mr. Baloy.
As a court, please, my counsel for case number 5 says we talk about the statement, we're talking about the narrative, not the statement itself. We're just asking, and there is a question that you asked, my lord, and the witness then said there's a certain narrative that is at play here. We're just simply following up on that to find out what is this narrative.
Isn't the problem because when prompted to name or state the narrative, the witness seems to be bringing in new evidence that should have been revealed under evidence in chief?
Well, it's already, my lord, perhaps we're just on the point of wrapping this up, and the witness had just, if he can just be allowed to finish what you were saying, we have wrapped up this issue.
Will he wrap it in such a way that it doesn't give new
Yes.
evidence?
As a
Is it the problem with Mr. Tovani and Advocate Ishololo is that new evidence is coming up as after he was prompted to name the narrative? My sense will be that in 1 or 2 sentences, one can state
Yes.
or name the narrative.
As a court, but we won't be much longer. If he can just repeat his last answer, then we will move on forward.
Yes?
Uma ke ungaphinda le mpendulo yakho uqeda ukuyinikeza manje ke sizakwazi ukuthi siqhubekele phambili ke uma uqhaza ngalento yokuthi ke uyazi ukuthi ke inhloso lezi zokuthi kuze ukuthathe futhi lezi statement bokuqondwe ini kahle kahle.
Shuthi yena kahle kahle ubuthelezi obefuna ukuthi sivume into engasiyo or sisho into engasiyo.
Okay.
Objection, my lord.
Yes.
This narrative question that has been introduced by the state, it's vague, my lord. Firstly, the state said he wants clarity on the statement of Mr. Mlungisi Edward Hlophe. And the defense for accused number 1 to 4 objected to say this witness was not present and therefore he cannot be in a position to know the conditions and the circumstances under which this statement was made. Now the state is coming with a narrative issue which is so vague and embarrassing. What should be narrated by this witness with reference to Colonel Tellez? Because she has never done anything regarding this statement. This statement, the person who has to be questioned is the author of this statement and the person who commissioned this statement only if this witness has got anything to know about those 2 people. Those were my objections, ma'am.
Before you sit down,
Sorry, ma'am.
although my understanding of Zulu is limited, I understood when you rose up, I had understood him to be saying that the narrative is in that Buthelezi wanted them to agree to facts which do not exist. Is that not what he said? That's what he said before
Yes.
you rose.
Yes, ma'am.
Is that not? Is that a wrong answer? Is that an offending answer?
My lord, I'm objecting because that narrative, the Colonel Tellez never wrote this statement. The narrative is on this statement, my lord.
But the witness is saying it is in that Buthelezi wanted, or unfortunately he uses us, which means him and others.
Yes, there is a new evidence. He has to tell us who are those. And where was Buthelezi when he wanted that? When he wanted them to admit things, when he wanted them to say 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Yeah.
Then, my lord, I'm saying it's not in line with a re-examination.
Mr. Madlala,
Thank you, ma'am.
yes, what you say, it should relate to you, not to others, because you were not there when others did whatever, when they were questioned or when they made statements. That's where the problem is coming. Speak for yourself.
Yezwa nkosiyami ukuthi ke okukhulu ukuthi uzikhulumele wena ungafake abanye ukuthi ngesikhathi banika le statement bona labanye wena bowungekho lapha wazi ukuthi kwenzakaleni so ufakazi bakho ubuqondise kuwe ngqo uyazwisisa nkosiyami.
So in all instances, tell us about your own singular experiences and not what was experienced by others, what was told or what was experienced by others.
Kaningi efakazini bakho khuluma ngalokho wena osuke waqonda nakho wabhekana nakho wakubona hayi lokho okubonwe ngabanye noma ukuze kuqoqwa ngabanye uyangizwisisa.
Yebo kuyazwakala.
Understood, my lord.
As a court piece, it's on record. That's precisely what the state wanted to place on record, and we will then move on.
Okay.
Now, can we just thresh out this issue regarding the crutches?
Singalungisa manje le ndaba le yama crashes ke manje.
Yebo.
Yes.
On page 65 of the record, it was put by Mr. Tobani to you, and I read from the record, page 65 of the 15th of September 2022. Page 65, line 21. And I'm just going to quote what stands on line 23. Says, my question to you, or I put it to you, that the first state witness testified that the crutches were not taken at the scene, and you said no, they took it, the crutches. Then on page 66 of the record, line 15, you testify that I hear you, and this happened long ago, and hence I'm saying that they were taken, although I cannot remember or recall as to specifically when, which occasion, or which time they were taken. Now, the question is this: when you left Johannesburg after the incident, when you returned back to KZN, did you have your crutches with you?
Umbuzo nawo ngesikhathi usuka lapha ke eGoli ubuyela ekhaya eKZN bowaphethe lama crashes wakho.
Noma ngasakhumbuli kahle, but ngiyakhumbula bona bewalande mina mama crutches, but angisakhumbuli ukuthi kwakuyinini. I think bawalanda, but emva kwesikhathi anginasho, ngisakhumbuli kahle, kodwa bona bawalanda because nabe wabuyisa banginika incwadi ngasayina, ngimazi umuntu ayobuyisile futhi angeke ngimkhombe.
Uzwile kahle umbuzo uthi ngesikhathi usuka eGoli uphindela eThekwini eDurban.
Yes.
eKZN wawaphethe ama crashes na yebo noma cha?
Yes, I think angwaphethe.
Yes, I think I had my crashes.
Now, again on page 66, the third line, Mr. Tobani says the following: Your Lordship, may the state provide the witness with A80, and he refers to A81. That is the statement of Warrant Officer Haynes regarding the collection of the crutches, and that statement has been put on record, wherein he states that the crutches were collected on a certain date. The date that was mentioned, I think, is the 12th of November.
Objection, my lord. Objection, my lord. It's a leading question, my lord. The witness has already indicated that he cannot recall. Now the state is reading from the record, informing the witness that the crashes were taken on the 18th of. That's not line of cross-examination, my lord.
Yes.
As a court, please, my lord, the evidence is on record, and the witness did indicate that he goes along with what is stated by Warrant Officer Haynes. This is merely just to confirm that indeed he goes along with that evidence. The statement is on record.
My lord, the answer should come from the witness. It should not come from the defense for the state, from the counsel for the state. The answer should
Mr.
come.
Baloyi, the thing is, you are putting not a question, an answer
I will
to
rephrase
him with regard to which he merely has to confirm or contradict. That's the problem.
I will rephrase. The statement is already on record. You indicated in your evidence in chief that you go along with what Warrant Officer Haynes states in his statement. You confirm that?
Ukhulume njalo ngesikhathi uphendula umbuzo eqhamba komtshutshisi ukuthi uhambisana lokhu ke Warrant Officer Haynes ke akhulumile statement sakhe. Ngiyaqinisekisa lokho.
Warrant Officer who?
Haynes, H-E-Y-N-S.
What is that?
You are back to
Precisely.
you are back to the same problem.
I'm objecting to the state, Your Lordship. The state is trying to tell the witness to change his testimony because this witness, under cross-examination, testified that the crashes were taken from the scene. Now, after we put that statement to the witness was not sure. Now, the state want to tell the witness, you confirm, you go along with Haynes' statement. Now, the state is trying to make this witness look unreliable. The state is trying to let the witness change his testimony, Your Lordship. Even the witness himself is shocked of what the state is saying.
I'm not sure.
As a court, nothing changed on this aspect. You know, it's on record. The record speaks for itself.
Yeah, I'm surprised why you keep on knocking on that door.
Yes.
As I say, just to clarify the aspect, my lord, but as I say, really nothing turns in that way.
But it seems to be prompting him to to put his evidence in a manner that suggests that he is being led.
As a court, as I say,
It's on record, and that's the long and the short about it. And the rest, I mean, him being a lay person, I think
yes,
he runs the risk of
yes.
going about it the way which is not permissible.
Very well, my lord, we leave it at that. As I say, it's already on record. Now, if we turn to page 72 of the record,
Siyaku page 72 record baba ne?
this is now during cross-examination by Mr. Tobani. It's from the first line up to the 7th line. He says, I put it to you that that night, or the day or night Longwe came in, he was not alone. Then he goes on further. I put it to you that the two gentlemen he was with, they remained in the car. Now, the question is this. When you and Ntoko went outside for you to smoke, you mentioned that you did see the red polo, is that correct?
I just want to bring to the attention of the court, we only have transcript from the state which ends with page 71.
Okay.
We only have the record from the state which ends with page 71. We don't have the full record in front of us, and it will be difficult for us to look at the same statement unless it's being shown on the monitor, Your Lordship. They can assist us because our record only ends with page 71.
I've just made my record available to Mr. Tobani.
Does Advocate Mshololo have it?
Yes, my
Yes.
brother, I do have.
Yes.
Yes?
The question that was asked you is, you say when you and Ntoko went outside for you to smoke, you have already mentioned that you did see the red polo. Now the question is, were there any occupants in the red polo in light of what was put by Mr. Tobani?
Umbuzo nawo la ukhona ngisho sowushilo ukuthi ngesikhathi niphumane ngaphandle ke wena nomthoko manje nihamba niyobhema usukhulumile wena wathi ke ipholo le ebomvu ngombala uye wayibona manje ke umbuzo uthi ke bebakhona abantu ngaphakathi uma sihambisana lo mbuzo ngendlela ummeli uThobane ayabuza ngakhona bebakhona abantu ngaphakathi epolweni
ipolo yena ayikhona ipolo ebomvu but babengekho abantu abakuyona umuntu ohamba ngayo I think ilomfana lo ulongo cause emva kongena kwakhe masiphuma sesiyobhema thina bese nginile nisadlula sabona wa.
Okay, yes, the red polo was there, but then inside of it, there were no occupants. I think that the person who was traveling in that red polo is this boy Longwe, because when we went out to smoke, there was no one inside.
The portion is on the screen now. It's been shown on the screen.
I think you should always remember that Advocate Tobane doesn't have what you have.
Yes. We did make copies for him, my lord, and the electronic version of the record was sent to all council.
With due respect, I don't want to waste the cost time. You see, there is written Mr. Towejani. I'm not Mr. Towejani.
I can't hear you.
It's written Mr. Towejani. I'm not Mr. Towejani. And it raises eyebrows. It raises very serious point. It's not even a joke. I don't know why people are laughing in court. They're not supposed to do that. They must respect the court. It's written Mr. Towejani. I'm not Mr. Towejani. And it creates some problems, but I'll leave it in the hands of the court.
Yes?
As a court pleases, I suppose we can then move away from this aspect. Now, are you able to say as to for how long you and Mtogo were there outside?
Ungakwazi ukusho ukuthi wena noMthoko nibe nesikhathi singakanani lapho ngaphandle?
Lokho isikhathi angikwazi ukuqala isikhathi.
That one of the time I cannot be able to estimate the time.
Before we proceed, the issue raised by Mr. Tobane, because the transcript was not dealt with in the usual way. It is my experience that transcript come in whatever form, and those concerned go over it, and if there are corrections to be made, you prompt those corrections. Was that done with this portion of the transcript? Because usually that is done at the end of the case. What we have in case, was it proofread and confirmed?
Well, we just spoke about briefly yesterday, my lord, and we just mentioned that it must be, an obvious typing error, as it refers to. It's meant to refer to Mr. Tobane.
Yeah. Well, it doesn't matter. I think
Yes.
the long and the short of it is that the process of proofreading has not happened.
Yes.
Yes, madam, it has not happened.
Yes.
Yeah.
But,
Because if it had happened, I would also have proofread. Because at the end of the day, I'm the one who should
yes.
append my signature to confirm that it was proofread.
Yes.
Okay.
As a court pleases, but even one would have, regardless of the record, my lord, one would have asked this question based on my notes alone, my lord.
Yes. Okay.
Are you able to say whether you and Togo were outside for a short while or for a long while?
Ungakwazi ukusho ukuthi wena noMthoko beningaphandle for isikhathi esincane noma for isikhathi esinde?
Akubanga isikhathi eside kakhulu.
It's not for a long time.
And while you are at that, do we all agree that Mtoko refers to Mtokozisi?
Yes, Togo Zizitwa.
Yeah. Okay. I hope you also agree.
Yes, no, I do agree. And I also agree that Towejani is not Towejani, it's Tobane.
Okay.
Thank you.
My apologies, madam, it is that
Yeah, you know, he spoke of Mtoko, and I was merely checking that we all agree that Mtoko refers to Mtokozis.
Yes, yes.
Okay, let's proceed.
One can also see on the record it refers to Madlala. It's actually Madlala. I think that we are all agreed that that correction can be made.
Yeah, I think when we adjourn, we should agree about the issue of proofreading. Normally, proceedings, transcripts of proceedings are transcribed at the end of the case, when the consequent steps are to ensue. But here, I think issues are coming out of the fact that that has not as yet been done. Not because there's any omission, because it was not yet time to do that.
Yes.
And I think from Advocate Baloyi, it also emerges that other than this raw transcript, people have their notes. He has his notes, and seemingly the two of you also have your notes. Yes. Okay.
Now, Mr. Madlala, after you and Mr. Mtokozizi went back into the house, after smoking, are you able to give a time estimate of how long after that did the attackers enter the house?
Ngesikhathi Mthokozisi masengiceda ukuya lapha endlini maniqeda ukuyobhema ungakwazi ukunikeza isilinganiso sesikhathi ukuthi lo mhlaseli ungene ngemva kwesikhathi ngani senibuyele phakathi endlini?
Because ngathi mangiqeda ukubhema sabuka ngamaphamo omnyaka angena ngoba umjoko wathi angangeni, then masingenile endlini akuphelanga isikhathi eside nje, then kwasengena labantu abangenakhe.
I mean, immediately after smoking, I did not similarly get inside the house. I stood by the door because it was said that I should stand there. Then immediately after getting inside the house, in a short while, then the intruder came in.
Then on page 73 of the record, this is now the telephone to Mr. Sfiso Meiwa, page 73 of the record, line 17. Starting with my question, that's Mr. Tobani. My question was, you phoned Mr. Sfio Meiwa. I never asked you whether you used your number or what, and you testified that you used somebody's phone, correct? And you answered yes. Then the conversation continues on page 77 of the 78 of the record, I'm sorry, page 78.
With due respect, I don't want to waste the cost time. You see what happens, Your Lordship. With due respect to my colleague, when it displays there, it displays another page 73. There are so many of them. Now, that one that displayed, it's not the one Council Baloyi is trying to refer. Even the next page, there are so many same pages, page numbers in this transcript. So he was trying to look for that 73. It was the wrong one that he displayed first time.
If council can maybe refer to his record, we furnish them with the transcribed record. If he can maybe refer to it.
But Your Lordship, I did inform my advocate Baloyi with due respect that my transcript ends with page 71. I wonder why mine ends with 71. That raises eyebrows. With due respect, before Balwe continues, Advocate Balwe continues, may the correct page be displayed so that we can follow as well, Your Lordship.
Did you send them from the office or even from anything you can show here?
Yes, my lord. We received the transcript, then made the electronic versions were sent to Defense Counsel, and over and above that, we made hard copies for Mr. Tobani at his request. But it's just, my lord, a very minor aspect. I'll let's share with Mr. Tobani just to save time.
Yes.
My lord, I have a suggestion here that we take a short adjournment so that the court registrar can assist us in getting the pages that the state is intending to use, make them available to the defense counsel for accused number 1.
Yeah, my
Just
worry is
those
just that
pages.
he is saying that both of you were served with copies, hard copies.
No, hard copies I was not served, my lord. I only received electronic. I made my own hard copies. That's why I'm saying we can make arrangements to make copies for defense counsel for accused 1 to 4, my lord. Instead of this sharing, because it's disturbing this sharing.
It will not take time. I think this is the second last reference to the report. There's no need for an agenda, my lord.
Will you?
Just to save time.
I do agree with the state. He might wrap up, Your Lordship, if he says it's only 2. And I do accept the assistance from Councillor Sholo. But if the state says it's only left with 2, it's fine with us.
Okay, let's proceed.
Then I've just referred to the question that was put to you regarding the telephone call to Mr. Sfisa Meiwa. Then on page 78, line 19, you respond as follows. I phoned Sfiso even before we departed from the scene. I never phoned him when we were in hospital. Now, here follows the question. Was this the only instance that you called Mr. Meiwa?
Nawo ke umbuzo olandelayo qhamuka kule nkulumo le ekhethe ukukhulunywa nguyo umshutshisi ukuthi ngabe ngilo phezulu hlandla lento oyiwafonda ngalo yena umnomzana uSifiso Meiwa.
Usifiso singamfunela nje isanda kwenzeka leyo nto, ngafunela nabantu basekhaya, ngafunela nomuntu engangizwana ngaleso sikhathi.
Yes, I phoned Sfiso when the incident was still fresh from happening. I also phoned people at my home and also the person that I was in love with.
But was this the only instance that you phoned Mr. Sfiso Meiwa, the one that I've just referred to, there at the house of the Kumalos?
Then ngilo phezulu hlandla le oyiwafonda ngalo yena uSifiso Meiwa ngesikhathi lapha kaKhumalo.
I think
I don't recall. I think it's that only instance.
And in the previous page that I've referred to, you mentioned that you used somebody's phone. Can you remember whose phone you used?
Kule khasi lenketho ukhuluma ngalo ke ukhulume ukuthi ke usebenzisa ifoni yomuntu thize ungakhumbula ukuthi yakabani ifoni oyisebenzisa ubani umuntu loyo.
angisakhumbula ubani umuntu wangibolekile wanginika ifoni, angisakhumbula ukuthi umuntu wangifuna wangikho umqondo wami ngaleso sikhathi ohlakahlakazekile, angisakhumbula ukuthi ubani wangibolekile.
I don't recall who had lent me that cell phone by that time because my mind by that time was not in a good state. Maybe perhaps if I could check from the records.
On page 63 of the report, and this will be the last reference to the report, Mr. Tobani put it to you that the state read out the indictment. It mentions a 9mm. You testified of a firearm with a wheel. And your answer was, I'm not an expert on firearm. I mentioned that it was a firearm with a wheel, but they mentioned a .38 revolver. Now, the question is, when you say they mentioned a .38 revolver, who are you referring to?
Mawuthi-ke bona bakhuluma nge.38 revolver usho kobani?
Ngiyakhumbula le statement I think ababefile bezongibhalisa sona. Ngamenshina nje ukuthi mina ngathi sibambe esinesonto ngathi sirastile. So manje base bebhala lento le ngathi yalungiswa kule ngathi angaze ngisibize ngegama. Njengoba bebhala revolver nje yona into esasilokhuza ngazi bebhala lento.
No, uzwile kahle umbuzo uthini? Umbuzo uthi-ke mawuthi bona yibo abakhulume ukuthi i.38 revolver usho ubani?
Laba ababethatha statement kuni.
The ones who took down my statements are the one who mentioned this issue for a .38 revolver.
And you mentioned that you are not an expert on firearms. Would you know a difference between a 9mm and a revolver?
Uye wakhuluma ukuthi wena-ke awusumuntu onolwazi noma expert ngendaba yezibhamu, ungawazi umehluko phakathi kwayo le sibhamu ekuthiwa i-revolver nale i-9mm pistol?
To respect, the state is fishing or pushing the witness. The state, the last question, according to my knowledge, is a new question to the witness. The witness already answered this question with regard to the firearms. He mentioned that the firearm had a wheel. Now the state want to make the witness an expert. The state, your lordship, is ready by time. Let's go, please.
My lord, nothing turns on that. It's already on record. We will not press this matter any further. Now, you testified that the attackers demanded cell phones and money. The question is, in which language did they communicate this demand?
Ukhuluma ukuthi-ke labantu abanihlasela bafuna amafoni nemali. So ngesikhathi bakhuluma nani ngiliphi ilimi bebalisebenzisa?
Abasebenzisa isiZulu.
Zulu language.
Right. Now, Advocate Msholola put it to you that cans were already removed when the police arrived, since only 2 cans are depicted on the photos as we saw per Exhibit B. Now, the question is this. As you were drinking, what happened to the cans, to the empty cans?
Ngesikhathi niphuza-ke lamakani besiniwaphuzile lawa empty kwenzekeni ngawo ngokuthi-ke u-advocate uMsholola ukhuluma ukuthi-ke amanye amakani wayesesusiwe ngesikhathi amaphoyisa sekafika lapho ngokuthi kule ithombe nawo njengoba uzibonela enkantolo kuvela amakani amabili. So kwenzekeni ngalamakani amanye la beseniwaphuzile empty.
Le eyamakana angifuni ukugama angiyazi indaba yayo ngoba njengoba sasiphuza ngithi utshwala babekwe efridge. So babeleke blande efridge. So mase kwenzeke lento angazi the rest amamakani aya ku because bese ngingekho mina besambisa usenze isibhedlela. So angazi kwasala kwenzakalani.
About the issue of the cans, really I don't want to lie about it as to what had happened about the cans, because as we were drinking this alcohol, some of it was kept inside the fridge. So as to what happened with the cans after consuming them, after we have went to the hospital, I cannot tell because we took Senzo to the hospital.
No, we're referring to the time when you were drinking, where the cans left, for instance, to pile up to lie there, or what was the position?
Sikhuluma ngesikhathi niphuza ngisho nijabulisa ukuthi lamakani beniwabeka lapho nje ukuthi amana ahlale lapho noma bokwenzekani ngawo.
angisakhumbuli ukuthi awubani bebaxoxa or ubani angisakhumbuli kahle.
I don't remember who was collecting them or what. I don't remember.
But are you able to say whether they were left there or whether, as you put it now, you don't remember as to who collected them?
Usho ukuthi ke asala lapho ndoba usho kanje ukuthi awukhumbula ukuthi ubani wayewaqoqa.
Lesha makhela angifunqa nganganakile yonke leyo nto. Nganganakile inkondo uma ungekho nje makhela ngakhula.
I don't want to lie, my lord, about this issue of cans. I mean, my mind did not focus on the cans too much.
Advocate Mshololo, further question to you as to why you did not hear the sound when the attackers came into the house. What was the position regarding the TV at that stage?
Umele umshosholo uye wabuza ukuthi kungani ungawuzwanga umsindo ke ngesikhathi ke lo mhlasela angena endlini isimo sevolume TV esinjani ngesikhathi leso ungaphenduli.
Objection, there is no evidence that was led by this witness regarding the television.
I wouldn't agree with you. Maybe in the sense that he's asking, but he did even say that the reason why they could see, amongst others, was that the TV was on. Remember?
That's the court.
Yes. This is precisely the point. Can you remember what the position was when the attackers came in regarding the TV?
Ungakhumbula ukuthi iTV le besesimeni sinjani ngesikhathi labahlaseli bangena ngaphakathi lapha endlini?
Still is a TV mongene eminyango. Mongene eminyango nasa ubheke sona kanje. Then ngala emaceleni kube amasofa amade ngala emasayidini. So mongena nje ungena sibheke kanje ngala emaceleni kuba amasofa mongene eminyango asedayini.
Mara umbuzo akawuzwisisi inkosi yami manguphinde futhi. La ke njengoba advocate Mshololo athi kuwe ke kungani ungezwanga lo muntu onihlasele ngesikhathi angena uyangizwisisa umshushisi manje ke uthi chaza ngesimo somsindo weTV ukuthi iTV yona beyinjani kulesimo leso ngesikhathi ngena lo mhlaseli uyangizwisisa bafika hayi ukuthi awusofa babahleli kuphi sikhuluma ngoTV
hayi TV beyindlala because beyini volume kahle nje volume because besibukela ibhola.
The television set was playing on a normal volume because we were watching soccer.
Your Lordship, I have a great respect to the officials of the court, with due respect to the interpreter. The question from Advocate Baloyi was very fair and straightforward in order for it not to be a leading question. Then what transpired, I have a benefit of the language. What have transpired, the witness answered the question. Instead of the interpreter giving the answer to the court, then the interpreter said to the witness, did you hear the question? In Zulu, then put the issue of volume, which the state didn't want to put it because it would be leading. Hence now, the witness is able to answer. Hence I'm saying, with due respect to the official of the court, if the witness answers, may the same answer translated to the court. Then if the state wants to follow it up, then the interpreter will interpret to the witness, not to say the interpreter must lead the witness to an answer. That's not a proper function of the justice system, as the court places.
The interpreter, now the focus is on you. Did you put that question?
No, my lord, I was trying to clarify the question so that it could be answered properly, not to say I was leading the witness into giving a certain type of an answer to this particular question.
Yeah, maybe the request is that you give it raw as it is.
As the court places.
And clarify. If clarity is needed, it will emerge that it's needed.
As the court pleases, my lord. If the defense was to play it like that,
interpretation is a very difficult task.
it will be like that, my lord. As the court pleases.
Let's proceed.
As a good please, if I can just ask that photo 64 of exhibit B be shown on the screen.
As per the photo 64, exhibit number 3, yeah?
There's a couch there, and there's also what appears to be a heater. See that?
We are going to the couch now, heat.
Yes, no.
Yes, I can see.
You testify that on your return from hospital, you found one of your crutches there in the sitting room. Now, the question is this: where were your crutches before the attackers came into the house?
Umbuzo ukuthi lama crashes wakubeka kuphi ngaphambi kwala bahlaseli bangene endlini.
Abeseceleni besiduze kwe-heater le anginobona ngiwancikise kulo la duze kwe-heater.
They were next to the heater because there is a wall, so I put them against the wall.
Next to the
Wall.
And you were also questioned at length as to where the first robber stood when you saw him. Are you able to indicate there on the photo where the robber was?
Ungakwazi
The
ukubonisa
first
lapho
robber.
esithombeni ukuthi ke lo mhlaso lokuqala bekame kuphi ngesikhathi umbona.
Asikho esinye isithombe abangaziveza cause bekame phambi komnyango lo ngila khona idining nje la manje akuvelile ngathi.
Is no other photo which can be shown because he stood in front of the door that comes into the dining room. So on this photo is not depicted.
And where is it in relation to the heater?
Then most of the time the heater kukuphi.
Angithi nje uyithi ngala kunesikhala lesomnyango awukho umnyango unesikhala lapho somnyango ongene lapha phakathi edining.
If you look where the heater is, next to the heater, there is the space of a door that leads into the dining room.
Now, Mr. Tobani put it to you that you identify the second accused because you saw him on or in the media. Have you ever seen the second accused in the media as suggested by Mr. Tobani?
Umnumzana Thobani uthi lo wesibili uyowamkhoma ukuthi uyowambona ku media. Uke wambona e media njengoba kusho yena uMelo Thobani.
Ngaze ngimbone kwi-media ngakuchaza futhi lokho.
I've never seen him in the media. I've already explained about that.
Ambone endlini yena usezosho.
I saw him inside the house.
And perhaps we almost wrapping up. Mr. Tobani referred you to Exhibit J. That's the facial image of the facial identification expert. Is the facial image analysis report. You were referred to page 4 thereof, where it stated that you could not compile the identikit of the second suspect. Now, the question is this. Your statements have been handed in. In your statements, were you able to give a description of the suspect?
Manje na umbuzo kama statement wakho sekafakwe la enkantolo ngiwo lama statement owabhalile wena noma owabhalisile ukwazile ukuthi unikeze yona is description yobuso bakhe lo muntu lo.
Which one? Lo muthi.
Which one? The tall one?
Yes, the second suspect.
Lo msolo wesibili.
Ngikwazile ukumkhomba ngoba ngisazi ukuthi noma kuthiwa ngihlala naye noma nguphi noma premium ngana ngisangamkhomba futhi ngikwazile ukumkhomba khona le nkantolo.
I managed to point him out here in court. I've already said that even after how many years has passed, I can still be able to point him out.
You are missing the point. This incident happened. You say that you saw 2 intruders. Then you made a statement before there was any court appearance, before anybody, I suppose, got arrested. The question is, at the time when you made the statement, before anybody was arrested, did you give a description? You will correct me if that's not your question.
Yes,
Mr.
indeed,
Brown.
my lord.
Did you give a description of any suspect? And specifically, did you give a description of accused number 2 before anybody was arrested?
Uzulu umuzo nkosi yami. Kuthi ke kuthatha istatement ngaphambi kokuba umuntu angaboshwa ke kule statement lezi kukhona uyowanikeza khona i-description yomunye umuntu na ngaphambi kokuthi kuboshwe umuntu.
Yes, ilo wayenza ama-threat efaka isigqoko wayegqoka ijacket ongathi caramel.
Yes, the one with dreads and the one who was wearing this hat and also wearing this caramel jacket.
Now, we talk specifically about accused, the second suspect.
Like really, Your Lordship, the state, the witness already answered the question. The state is leading the witness now. The witness is honest with the court, very honest on this answer, on this answer, on this answer. The state want to divert the witness.
The statements are there. It's a matter for argument. We will not press it, any further than that. So I see my colleagues.
And the correct answer has been given, my lord, to say the description that was given by this witness in the statement before him, it was a description in respect of the first person who was wearing a jacket.
Yes, and that is the point, my lord. We're just asking whether did he give a description of the second suspect that's in his statement. That is the whole point.
Yes.
Yes, Mr. Madlala.
Your Lordship, as we objected, with due respect, the witness answered the question. The state want to lead the witness to another direction, whereas the witness answered the question. He answered the question according to what he says he described the person, Your Lordship.
Isn't the question now, did you describe the second suspect? Is that not the question?
Your Lordship, sorry for that. Maybe the court, that question is directed to me. I'm not sure if it's to
Come
answer. The question from the court, is it directed to me or to the state?
I'm saying, wasn't the question by Mr. Baloy
Yes.
whether the witness described the second suspect?
The question from the state was about the second suspect, but now the answer from the witness is direct and complete to say, whom did he manage to describe?
Yeah, but the question now is, did you describe the second suspect?
That's a leading question.
In what way?
Did you describe the second suspect? Whom the state's supposed to ask why, where, whom? Whom did you describe? If he asks that question, I believe, strongly so, the answer will be the same the witness just gave.
There you are, Mr. Baloy.
As I say, the statements have been handed up. We leave that for argument. No, there's no point in pursuing
All
that.
right.
In cross-examination by Mr. Tubani, you mentioned that the suspect had a jacket and that jacket had a hood.
Ngesikhathi umnomzana uthumana kubuza umbuzo ukhulume ukuthi lo mhlaseli bakagqoke ibhantshi lebhaji lelinehudi.
Loqala.
Which one do you mean, the
We're
first
talking
one?
about the second suspect.
Sikhuluma ngalo wesibili.
Lo muntu wesibili uyabe mude afaka ijacket ngathi ngehood lo ngasayikhumbula ukhala wayo kahle because manje ngingabuza ngisakhumbula ukhala kodwa befaka ijacket eyihood. Lo muntu.
The second one who was told is the one who was wearing a jacket, even though I don't recall the color of the jacket. That jacket had a hood.
Yes, that is the point. Do you remember as to whether the hood was on or not?
Uyakhumbula ukuthi ngabe le hood
Did he put it on or not?
le hood yale bhantshi bekayigqoka noma akayigqokanga?
I think singaphakathi endlini bengingasayigqokile because bengingasayigqokile singaphakathi endlini.
When he was inside the house, I mean, he was no longer wearing the hood.
I think yayingafakile isigqoko.
I think the head was not on the head of the intruder.
Ihle ijacket ifakwa lesigqoko lesi. Sasesibuyele ngemuva mina mase sengisuka edaningiza la esexhakaza nami sasesibuyele ngemuva kanje.
As the witness demonstrates, my lord, that this jacket with the hood will be put over the head. So when the intruder was inside the house, the hood was not over the head, meaning that it has been taken back.
Thank you.
I think we'll have to attend for tea.
Well, there are only two questions that I have. We can maybe wrap this up and maybe adjourn.
Yeah, we will in any case have to confer after adjourning. I think let's go for tea.
That's a
We'll
good
come and
consensus.
wrap up and then we have to confer. Still under oath?
Usephansi kwesifungo inkosi yami angisho baba. Both confirm my lords.
Now, still on Exhibit J, Mr. Tobani referred to page 4 of Exhibit J, and he read from the 4th paragraph, where it stated as follows: the third person I interviewed was Mr. Tumelo Madlala, who was much traumatized. Now, the question is, what was your emotional state on this particular day, the 29th of October 2014, when the identity kits were compiled?
What's the
Objection, that's a new question from the state. The state from initial stage never asked that question to the witness.
My lord, Mr. Tobani referred to this, and we're just trying to clarify, what it refers to. The
Giovanni,
fact that
did you not refer to it, to the issue of his state at the time of you made the statement?
Your Lordship, I did refer to the issue of his, the way it's written by that. Remember, Your Lordship, he's not the deponent of that affidavit, but I did refer to him, the affidavit. The question here, my objection is the state, from the initial onset when he was under examination chief, he never asked the question.
But
However,
didn't you bring it in because of the way you cross-examined?
the court pleases.
Mr. Madlala, can you answer?
Ungaphendula ngebhuti ukuthi ke bosesimene esinjani imphefumulo ngelanga leli kwenziwe nge-parade nge-29 October 2014.
Bengekho right, bengithukile, ngangingasathembi ngisho umuntu.
I was not okay, my lord. I was scared, and then I could not trust anyone.
Then finally, Mr. Madlala, Advocate Mshololo questioned you on the Netflix documentary, and you were asked as to whether you did not think that it might be your participation in the documentary might not be prejudicial to the case as it was pending. Now, the question is did the makers of the documentary tell you when it was going to be flighted?
Manje na umbuzo ingaba labayenze le documentary bayibakutshela ukuthi izodlaliswa nini izovezwa nini?
Abangitshelanga lokho exactly, abangitshelanga ukuthi izodlala nini kanjani, zamani ngitshele lokho.
They did not inform me as to when it's going to be flighted.
Thank you, Malak. Those are the aspects that we wanted to take up.
Yes.
Thank you, Honorable Justice. We humbly request to ask the witness new questions based on the new questions which were asked yesterday, and they gave new answers under oath. Court, please.
Mr. Baloy?
Well, I don't know what my learned friend is referring to.
I think we'll know when he raises.
As the court pleases, but we have no objection.
Okay. Okay.
I must say, even though procedurally he would only have that opportunity if the court was to ask any clarity-seeking questions, and if he wants to ask questions arising from clarity-seeking questions by the court, that would be the only opportunity, my lord. There isn't really provision for him now to have another second bite at the cherry. But as I say, my lord, it's neither here nor there.
So are you opposed or?
Yeah. As I say, my lord, it's not procedural, but if he can indicate what those new issues are, my lord, so that we can properly...
Yes, Mr. Tovan, procedurally it is not
Thank you, Your Lordship.
time for that. Will you indicate the areas that you think?
If I may start in this way, Your Lordship, the Lordship yesterday indicated that we objected, and the Honorable Court indicated that if there is a new question, will be granted the opportunity, which procedurally is allowed if the state under re-examination comes with the new questions. My questions are even headed new questions to Tumelo. With regard to a name Buthelezi. Initially, when he testified, he never mentioned anything about Buthelezi. He never said anything about actions by Buthelezi. They only came up yesterday under re-examination. Hence, we objected.
But should your response be to get another chance to cross-examine, or for the court to expunge whatever he said about Buthelezi?
Yeah, it's not about a new chance of me cross-examining. It's a chance for me to cross-examine the new questions he answered from the state.
No, the thing is, you have already cross-examined. And the only thing that we can do is to expunge whatever he said about Buthelezi, which was out of 10. Because we are guided by the Criminal Procedure Act.
Yeah, but
I mean, by the criminal procedure rules.
Your Lordship, with due respect, we have a problem here because the state were allowed to continue under the impression the court made a ruling that will be allowed to ask based on only the new questions. Now, there's a change of heart today to say the procedure doesn't allow it.
There's no change of heart. What I'm saying is, if evidence came in which should not, the only response is to expunge such evidence, not to extend these proceedings unprocedurally.
That's where the problem lies, Your Lordship.
Yes.
The problem is the state came up with new statements and questions towards the witness, which they initially never asked the witness, which by itself, the state also never followed the procedure.
Then we should expunge that evidence.
With due respect, that's what I expected yesterday, but the court said we'll be given an opportunity.
Yeah, but that would not be procedural. If that evidence is expunged, what is wrong? What remains wrong?
As I'm saying, if the court says it will expunge, and is the ruling of the court, I cannot dispute the ruling of the court. If the court makes a ruling that that evidence with regard to a name Buthelezi will be expunged, is the court that makes the ruling as a court basis.
Mr. Baloy, there were instances, and I agree with him, there were instances where the witnesses, and I was even prompted to address the witness to say, answered only the question asked.
Yes. My Lord, what Mr. Tobani is saying, it's not something new. That's actually what came up in cross-examination by Advocate Mshololo. The state questions were based on what Advocate Mshololo asked. The name came up during her cross-examination. We therefore submit it's not something new, my lord, and insofar
But
as...
do you agree with me
Yes.
that whenever it came up, whenever that name came up,
Yes.
it was not within an accurate answer to the question posed?
Yes. Yes, there were some explanations.
The witness was time and again delving into an area which is not covered under the scope of the question asked.
Yes, that's in order, my lord. And as the court mentioned, once we receive the record, those extraneous issues will be expunged from the record. That's in order.
Mr. Madlala, we thank you for having come to testify. You had there are issues around your interactions with establishments like Netflix and so forth. Now, there's a lot of people who might still testify in this case. Your duty is not to interact with those people in a manner that will influence their evidence. The best would be to wait until they have testified, if you must interact with them.
uzwile nkosi yami inkosi yenkantolo yakubonga ukuthi uzwile wakunika ufakazi bakhona ufakazi abaningi abasoza bazonikeza ufakazi kakhulukazi ngabe beNetflix okukhulu kubalekile ukuthi ke wena ke uzibambe ungahambi uyokhuluma nabo ngokunye kwale nkantolo okuzobona ukuthi kuya influence sizona kahle ne
Ngiyazwana.
understood my lord.
As a court please, my lord, there was a request by our colleague yesterday for an early adjournment. We are not opposed to that, my lord. We can adjourn until Monday for the continuation of the proceedings. The date of Monday will be the
21st.
the 21st, my lord, 21st of November.
Although it is not central to this case, there was an issue that arose at the time Advocate Mshololo was cross-examining, and I was firm in the reasoning that it was not time for Mr. Tovani to make the inputs he sought to make at the time. Number one, because it was the time for Advocate Mshololo to address. Number two, I wasn't even sure whether whatever he was saying belonged in these proceedings. So I was saying whatever it is, it should be done outside these proceedings, and whatever implications it has, we shall see when it happens. But I wouldn't allow an instance where one practitioner is cross-examining and somebody else comes with a motion, if it's a motion, towards whatever direction. So these things I believe should be sorted out amongst the three of you.
As a court pleases, Worship, hence precisely our humble request for early adjournment. If the state is not opposing and Advocate Msholo is not opposing, there's no need for me to give reasons. Hence, I did indicate to the court that I will require to consult with clients for direction. Then,
yeah. Well, all I'm saying is that we should not debate it here. It
yes,
doesn't belong here.
I agree with the court.
But then we need, the four of us need to converge to meet immediately after we adjourn. The reason why we should meet it's something that I could simply do with Advocate Baloyi, but it would not be correct to meet Advocate Baloyi aside.
I agree with that.
So we should go and meet in chambers so that we can quickly discuss that. Ashley?
Your Lordship, my colleague will accompany me as well.
Yeah, well.
Thank you, Worship.
So we should go directly to the chambers. Please rise. This case is postponed with the accused in custody. It's postponed with the accused in custody until Monday, the 21st of November for further hearing. I think the only other thing to say is that the four of us have to converge in chambers.
Right, sinasukuma sonke manje.